ready for the grimiest and grittiest of all podcasts. Pro wrestling, music, and entertainment is the Ewokk and JB Show.
Yo, what is crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, the Ewokk from the Ewokk and JB Show. You know what I'm saying? We straight off a weekend full of Mortal Kombat, UFCs, baseball games, everybody getting drunk, everybody getting happy, you know what I'm saying? But tonight, we got a dope-ass guest, Mr. Scott Lee Clayton. What's cracking, brother? What's cracking with you?
It's good. It's real good. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. I was glad this actually worked with my schedule, and that schedule gets pretty tight.
Yes, sir, man. Straight up video producing and just killing the game out here, just straight up for the love of the game. Tell us a little bit something about yourself. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I started out as a referee, but let's backtrack a little bit because you guys have to hear this story of how.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have to backtrack just a little bit because I was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where there was a lot of wrestling. So I lived there for about 14 years of my life. I was born and raised. And then in 2008, my dad got a job promotion at Hilly Tools. So it moved us out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, around 2008 to 2014, I find my place in like theater and stuff. So I did theater. I sang in the choirs. I was in the plays. I was in the musicals. I did it all. So I get to college. I did a couple shows and then had a falling out with somebody. And I was like, well, what am I going to do for a year? Because there were situations that happened. And I was like, well, I can't do theater for a year now because of the situation that I'm not going to get into. So I talked to a friend. I was like, so he was actually selling tickets to a wrestling show, and I see the tickets in his hand. I said, hey, what's this about? He goes, oh, yeah, there's indie wrestling down the street, 51st and Sheridan, Compound Pro Wrestling. So I go to a show. I was like, hey, this is actually really good. Go to a couple shows, and then after the fifth show, I said, I actually want to do this. So I didn't want to wrestle because I'm a pianist. So anything happens to my hand or my arm, we're going to be in trouble. So I decided to referee. Was trained within like a month, and then I had my first show in July of 2015. So I refed for about 4 years. My last booking was March 13th as a ref in 2019. So around 2018, a promoter by the name of Tim Rockwell, who runs Wrestling for a Cause, which is a charity organization that helps kids fight against childhood cancer, I reached out to Tim. And I said, hey, I really support your cause. How can I get involved? Can you book? I was looking for a booking. He said, actually, I don't want to use you as a ref, but I've seen your video production work. So how would you feel about running a camera? I was like, I've never filmed a wrestling show. So sure. So January, do a show. Okay, getting feedback left and right. February comes along. He actually brings in his real film crew, I Shoot Wrestling. And they start training me on everything. About months later, around May, Luke Hawkins, who runs I Shoot, tells Tim, hey, I think you should give Scott a crack at video editing. And he goes, okay, well, give him a match and let's see what he can do. Well, notice I'm using basic editing software. So I'm like, how do I do what they do on TV? So I edited the match with basic editing software. He goes, this is okay, but you need something better. So he buys my editing software outright. Buys me Final Cut Pro X on my MacBook. I still have it. And I start learning from his graphics designer who works for Apple on how to use Final Cut. So I'm learning how to take all the angles, sync them together, and then produce a wrestling show, pressing the buttons 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 if you have 4 angles, and then syncing commentary and all that. So I would say 2018 was more of a learning experience for me in production. And then towards the middle of 2018, my first real big deal was me working an NWA World's title match. I got to film it, and it was in Bristow, Oklahoma. So my first big gig was the 10 pounds of gold.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I got to film a 10 pounds of gold match. Notice I'm only running off an iPhone at this time. Didn't have money for video production equipment yet because I was still trying to get my name out there. Really didn't start taking bookings until 2019 because I was still learning and technically still in training because you never stop training. The day you stop learning in this wrestling business, I've always been taught the day you stop is the day you shouldn't be in the business. So I'm learning for a year. And then 2019 comes around. I work for Sandy Callahan's The Wrestling Revolver. Got to film a show for him for High Spots. And then right after that, I was like, I really should start taking bookings because Callahan praised me for my camera work and said, you're a really good cameraman. I would love to have you back. So I come back to his shows for a while. And then towards the summer, I start taking bookings in Kansas and Oklahoma. Well, around August, I get a call from Luke Hawkins at iShoot. And he said, hey, I got a big opportunity for you. And I said, okay. He says, how would you feel about filming for Impact for a couple days? So I got to do an Oklahoma tour with Impact Wrestling.
Oh, that's dope. That's sick, bro. You just kept on your grind, man. You just kept on your grind. You're willing to learn, and like good things happen, man. I'll salute you for that, heavy, man. That's just awesome as hell. And when it came down to like how did you get into like theater? I'm very interested in that. How did you get into theater? Like everybody has a beginning, and I need to know it.
Okay. So we're gonna go all the way back to when Scott was a kid.
Okay.
My dad was a coach for baseball, basketball, football. He coached all the sports and for Catholic schools and like the recreational centers. And I was on the football team. I was on the basketball team. I was on the baseball team. Well, around that time, there was a problem that I couldn't really move the right side of my body correctly. So I went to therapy and found out I had hypotonia. And I went through physical and occupational therapy, and they wanted me to have some rehab stuff so I could learn how to gain mobility in the right side of my body. So my uncle, at the age of 6, buys me a piano and goes, well, this is good rehab. My dad goes, he's never going to learn how to play that. He goes, no, trust me, this will help him. So the piano was my form of rehab. So I grew a love for music, and I was singing. I played the piano, and then my uncle tells my father around the age of 8, hey, there's a theater company down the street that's doing Guys and Dolls. You should consider bringing him down for auditions. My dad and uncle were doing theater at the time, and my dad goes, an 8-year-old in Guys and Dolls? He goes, I'll allow it. So I audition, and I sing America from West Side Story. I didn't know what I was doing at that time, and I started growing a love for theater, and I've done maybe close to 50 productions in my career. So I've been doing that for about 15 years.
Let me just say this, man. I've heard Scott play the piano and sing. Dude, fucking talented as hell. Just saying. Just saying, as a friend and also as a fellow musician, he's got skills, man.
You got some albums out? You got some rap albums out?
No, I don't have any albums out. None of that. Filming my senior recital Wednesday. Okay. So that is going to be my big project, and I'm singing songs for musical theater and opera.
Okay. Oh, that's dope, man. You got a lot on your plate. And then like when it comes to your like love, did you grow up a wrestling fan, or is it something that you kind of just got into at an older age?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up watching WrestleMania 1 when I was 2 with my dad on VHS.
Hell yeah, that's dope as hell. By far, who is your favorite like wrestler of like all time? Like if you have to pick one wrestler to have like a dream match or a referee, like pick 2 wrestlers. Who are your two favorite?
Now let me ask this: are you talking current, present day, past time? What are we talking?
Anybody. I'm talking about anybody. If you pick 2 wrestlers, if you were to ref a match, who would it be?
Well, one was Sting. I grew up watching Sting, and I love Sting. And I also love The Undertaker as well. So if I had my pick, I would rather see that dream match happen. I would love to see Sting versus The Undertaker if somebody would actually allow it to happen.
Yeah, and you in the middle reffing that shit. And
Probably be a cinematic match since both of them, that's pretty much what they were doing now.
Yes, sir. You got anything, Mr. John?
Oh yeah. So when we left off with wrestling, you said he was doing a tour with Impact, and what was that like? What was the whole Impact tour experience like?
It was definitely an eye-opening experience because this is my first time working TV, so I'm not sure what to expect. So I get in there, we set up all the equipment because Luke is directing the streams. The first night we ran a Twitch stream for Impact, and then the next night we had an Impact Plus special for Victory Road.
Nice.
So I get in there, they're showing me stuff, and I get earpiece and wired up. And in one ear, I have the director telling me who's live. And then the other ear, I have either Scott D'Amore, Josh Matthews, or D'Lo Brown in my ear giving me directions on what shots they want.
Damn, that's like a lot to take in. There's a whole lot.
Oh, it was. It definitely was.
Trial by fire sounds like.
I couldn't hang, bro. Like I do video work myself, but like people like bugging my ear, I probably would have took the headphone off.
They would have been angry if you did that. They probably would have been very angry. Like, why can't we hear him? We have instructions for him.
Yeah, I would have been.
It was almost every minute I had something in my ear, and sometimes they were even calling time cues as well. So I was actually on the agents channel as well.
Damn,
it's wild, man. So from that experience, like if someone was going to begin their very first day working for a national television company with what you've had your experience with, what would be your advice to them?
Go to the people that are running the show and ask them what they expect. Ask them what their expectations are. Because I can guarantee you, they are so nervous at this first time experience because I didn't know what to expect. I've only done local shows. But it kind of helped that I was at Callahan's company in Des Moines, helping out and filming because I got to learn and work with a bunch of names like Tommy Dreamer, Billy Gunn, the Rascals. I got to work with everybody in Impact before I actually got to that gig.
Oh, yeah. I remember Tommy Dreamer kind of gave you a pretty awesome blessing when he first met you.
Oh, yeah. So 2018 is my first Revolver show. It's about 3 days after Christmas. And I talked to Dreamer, and I asked him if he'd give me feedback. And he said, oh, absolutely. He goes, well, tell me your story. So I tell him the whole thing. I've started as a ref, did production, and I'm doing production for free for Wrestling for a Cause because I support the cause. I support childhood cancer. I support cancer awareness because my grandfather died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So really it's for him. And it's also for the cause because I know what it feels like to see a family member have cancer. So back to the story. So I tell Dreamer this, and Dreamer goes, I'm going to tell you something, and this is my piece of advice for you, but it's more of a statement. You're going to have good karma in this business. And then just walked away and left it at that.
And man, look where you're at now. Look where you're at now.
Yeah, man.
Like, seriously, like, dude, like everybody in the West Coast, Texas, you know, all the way up. Everyone talks about him. I'll tell you how I met Scott actually on this.
Okay.
I got a lot of friends out west, Texas, Oklahoma area, Vegas, all that in wrestling. And I kept on hearing about the Scott Lee Clayton guy. Oh man, you can't have a bad day when Scott's around. And I kept hearing his name. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but if all my friends are preaching to the choir like how good of a person he is, then he's someone who I want on my crew. You know, not just like working shows, just a friend. Like he's part of that grind crew like me and you, Ewokk. Yeah. You know, he does whatever the fuck it takes to make things become successful for what it is in his life and others. And so I sent him a friend request, and like what was like 2 or 3 days into it, we just started talking about production and our ideas and stuff. And dude, we've been buddies ever since. You know.
That's like literally how him and I hit it up, because it first started with, hey, I have a question for you. And I said, sure, what's up? And he said, what would it take to make me a TV intro for Chicago Championship Wrestling? And I said, sure, I'll do something for you. So I think I come up with a minute intro is what we agreed on.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. And then we just hit it off right off the bat.
Oh, that's dope. He made our intro.
Yeah, he took the footage that Xavier did, and what he did, he's the one who put all the finishers and sequences.
Hey, bro. Hey, you made all of us look fly, man. You made me look fly. You made, man. He had the suit on. You made him look fly up in there, man. Like, hey, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Man.
Scott.
Dude, him and Xavier Camacho did a pretty good job together, man, on that, because Xavier filmed it, and I asked Scott, I was like, you want to do something a little extra? Because I know Xavier's a busy guy. He's got AAW and all that stuff he's doing too, and freelance and stuff. I was like, I didn't want to like overbear Xavier on a million things, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give Scott. I'll throw this at Scott, and Scott's like, yeah, let me see it. It was like 2 days later. Scott's like, you want to see something cool? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, bah, 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 bah. And I'm just like, dude, yes,
it was fire. It was fire, man. Everybody loved that shit.
As soon as I heard the music, because I said, hey, what kind of music do you want for this? And he goes, oh, I actually have a song. I have it licensed. I said, okay, perfect. Because the thing I don't get with wrestlers these days is them using copywritten music when you're putting this product on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You're like putting all this stuff and it's getting flagged for copyright. My advice is to get custom music. Because there'll be a lot of times you may get to that TV level and you're going to have to use that type of music to get over.
Yeah, you need music. Like, you need music that represents your character. This goes in the wrestling aspect. You need music that represents your character. You can't be a goon from the streets of Chicago and you're playing metal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I see people like that is like the most like urban person in the world coming out to like Evanescence. I was like, dog, come on, like make your interest music and make your music in general your character, because now it pops. Like, everybody knows I'm gonna come out to some boom bap hip hop, and all my stuff ain't gonna get flagged. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that is a thing. Don't send somebody that's editing your video some shit that's gonna get flagged, you know what I mean? And then,
this is more additional work for them that they don't have to deal with, they shouldn't have to deal with.
And then you're dealing with the fact of like, hey, why did my match air? And I have to tell them, well, YouTube flagged it for copyright, and the promoter got angry, so he made everybody go to custom free music because he was actually trying to monetize on the product.
Yeah, I actually had to deal with that on my first show, because I told some of the guys, it's like, look, man, we have to use royalty-free music. And there were some people who were like, yeah, but I want to come out to the song. I'm like, okay, hit up the record label and purchase the song then, because that's the only way they're going to allow that on TV. And this is something, I'll stress this as a musician myself. Ewokk's a musician. You're a musician, Scott. So all three of us got background in music when we talk about this. You could hit up a artist and say, hey, can I use your song? And artists be like, yeah, that's cool. But here's the thing people have to remember. It's the record label executives, the producers, and the company itself you have to get the permission from. An artist can say, okay, the record label may not be cool with it. And the next thing you know, they're coming at your ass with lawsuits.
And here's another thing that actually kind of worked for me, especially like with the Griselda dudes. They was like, hey, you could use this song from this because this was a mixtape. There's no you're not gonna get flagged for using this song and this song, but you might get flagged if you use anything from my second album. Like all you gotta do is know who to hit up. You can email record labels, and sometimes they'll get back to you, sometimes they won't. But like in my case for Westside Gunn, at the time he wasn't really as big as he is now, but he gave me a list of songs that I could use and from what albums. So I'm all good with that one. But it's like try to reach out. But like if you can't get to these people, don't use that song. I make beats. I know Quinn Whittick, my boy Quinn Whittick, make beats. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like try to get something custom done. It don't cost that much money. It's like $75 to $100, but that's yours to keep forever. So like make sure y'all do that.
Like, I'll tell you guys this. I have friends in Texas that were trained by Booker T. They grew up having to train and actually use those songs to get over. Yes, it it sucks, but you at some point, if you want to make it to the national level, that's something you will have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine someone going to like, Impact, for example. Oh yeah, I want to use this one song I've been using on the indies that no one ever like flagged. Oh, you can't use it? Oh no, what do you guys have? Oh, something that doesn't fit me. Is this like you just look at people like you get your own custom music. That way you take it with you everywhere you go. It's
Yeah.
yours. You know? It's like I don't know why that's so hard for people to comprehend. It's like it's just it's yours. It's like when guys talk about custom gear. Oh, I got this nice custom gear. Oh, that's great. You got custom boots, got nice wrestling attire, all that stuff. Same thing with cameramen. Oh, you got the brand new 4K camera. Hell yeah, that looks great. This and that. But with like wrestlers, it's like, okay, you got custom gear, you got a good look, you invest in yourself going to the gym. That's nice. What about music? And that's nine out of 10 guys. That's the part that gets them. But music, I use this one band song. Okay, well, does a record label know about it? Well, it doesn't really matter. Well, what if someone in that crowd is actually part of the record label and they hear their music being played and you're not getting royalties off of it? Now you set not only yourself up, you also set that promoter up to get sued.
Yeah, nobody want to get sued, man. Like I
No,
ain't
no, man.
trying.
Because the thing with the record label companies, man, they'll take you to court and hold you over until they get every penny out of you.
Bro. I know people that have gotten cease and desist letters from the WWE, and it was like, yo, how did they see my stuff? Honestly, I feel like WWE see everything, especially
they have eyes and ears everywhere, man.
Especially like if you're a wrestler, because I think one of my dudes used the Miz's move, but he was like branding it as like the Skull Crescent finale, but he was using it, and then I guess he got a cease and desist letter telling him not to like brand that move or use that move and shit. I was like, damn, that's kind of messed up. But it is what it is. So there's eyes everywhere. So watch your ass,
Well, there's even with us promoters, man. If say we have like a former WWE star on our poster, and you actually use the WWE logo, they'll hit you with a cease and desist letter instantly if they find that out.
And plus, a lot of people. Plus, here's a little thing. A lot of people ask me, say, "Yo, how come you haven't never got a cease and desist?" I was like, "Mine is a spoof. It's not really like me ripping off anything. It's just like, all right, cool. I contort it, but it's still in the guidelines of me not copying somebody's logo. You know what I mean? It's like as a parody, right? It's like a parody song.
Yeah. Your whole gimmick is under a parody because you used the word Ewokk, but it was a 2 case instead of 1. So they can't do anything to you because you're not saying, "Hey, I'm a Star Wars character." It's no.
But I still had a Desmond Demond just in case they sent some letters at me,
Yeah.
Just in case.
So, but yeah, with this whole thing, it's like the common thing I'll see is guys coming out to songs that are copywritten, and that's mainly the advice I would give to younger people when you're starting out. Start out with custom stuff. Invest in your character. Invest in your gimmick. I will tell you that in my history of producing pro wrestling, there was only one person that used a copywritten song and actually brought me the permission to use that song. And I'll name drop him right now. This guy is nationwide right now. Just got off huge WrestleMania weekend with the collective at Game Changer Wrestling and IWTV, the Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith, who is actually sponsored by Swisha House Records. So he told me, "Hey, I'm going to use Still Tippin'." I said, "Okay. My question is, do you have the rights?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sponsored by Swisha House." So my jaw dropped.
That's dope. That's dope. That's exactly what I was talking about. Like you, if you reach out to these people, you could possibly get a sponsorship. It's like, all right, cool. You one of our boys now, So you never know what might happen. You know what I'm saying?
But it also depends on the promoter as well if they allow copywritten music. Yeah. I have guys that even send me songs with curse words, and I'm already asking the promoter immediately, "Are you allowing this? Do you know anything about this?" Sometimes I use the clean version. And then sometimes for edgier shows, they tell me, oh, no, keep the whole thing, but just censor it on the broadcast.
Yeah, I made that mistake once. I had the curse words as a kid's show, and it's just like straight up like Wu-Tang boom bap type shit, and it was like,
Yeah, my first mistake was a promoter by the name of Lou Gotti Sterrett, who I work for at VIP Wrestling and DFW All Pro. And he told me to make an entrance video for him and send the song. So I used the song. He goes, bruh, that song has too many curse words. You should have used the clean version. That's when I knew I made a mistake. He was coming out to Karma by Waka Flocka Flame.
oh shit. That, that at least has like 4 fucks in it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, so now currently, Scott, what you just talked about your WrestleMania weekend. What was your WrestleMania weekend like? I know you was on the phone with me a little bit. You was getting ready for your going in between flights,
Yeah.
going down the floor. But how was your WrestleMania weekend?
Okay, so I didn't even know I was going to WrestleMania weekend until maybe less than a month before. I get a call from New Texas Pro Wrestling, who I was at the time, I started in November. I'm directing their shows in post, but I could not go there live because the University of Tulsa at the time had a strict travel policy because of COVID. So they said, hey, if you're going to travel out of the state or out of the area, you're going to have to quarantine for 14 days. So I said, well, I can't travel, so I'm directing his shows. I did one show last year, but that was before the travel policy really took place. And then around Thanksgiving, I actually got COVID. And I made a decision for myself, I'm not going to travel until I have the vaccine. And everything worked out because by the middle of March, I was eligible for the vaccine. I got both doses. And then around 2 weeks before my second dose, I got a call from Telly at Title Match Network. And he said, hey, one of my friends referred you as a cameraman who will also be at Tampa. What would it cost for you to go to Tampa? I said, wait, for WrestleMania weekend? He goes, yes, I want to book you for WrestleMania weekend. And I said, well, let me look and I'll see what I can give you for a booking fee. So I booked my flights because I said, I might as well take the investment while I'm there. I might as well make this an investment booking because I don't know how much I'm going to make on this trip. I could lose my ass completely on this trip. And I took a major gamble. I cut a favor for New Texas Pro Wrestling. I was going regardless with no pay. So because he told me, hey, the budget is really tight for this show. I'm going to have to ask you to do the show for free, and then I will come back tenfold for you and take care of you. And that's exactly what he did. So I booked my flights. My flight is around $360. And I show Telly the receipt. I said, hey, I just booked my flight. How much could you do and how much could you afford? He goes, well, I'm running 3 shows. So he's streaming 2 shows for Generation Championship Wrestling and then running a ladies' night out show at midnight. So I said, well, if you could do $250, that would cover my flight in because my flight was around $228 to get into Tampa. He goes, done. I'll do that right now. He goes, also, we have a company that's running in the afternoon that we're going to stream on video on demand. You might want to reach out to them and see what they can do for you. Well, I talked to that promoter. And he goes, well, I can do 200. So I walk out with $100 and I'm not even losing anything on the trip.
Can't beat that.
Shit.
I was prepared to lose hundreds of dollars. I was willing to take that gamble on myself because I know I should be at that level.
And plus, promoters too, man. Like good, like real good promoters that are willing to take care of the people that they want to bring in. They, like some promoters, like I can't really help you, bro. I can't help you with the small 200. But like those are good two good promoters right there, brother. So
absolutely. And I like what you said right there, though, Scott. And there's something that I think every wrestler, every person, and not only wrestling, any person in life should take something right there from what you said. you was willing to take a gamble on yourself to go after your dreams. I don't know how many guys me and Ewoks talk to that will not take a gamble on themselves. There's guys that, hey man, we got like a 4-hour car drive somewhere. No, I can't do that. Oh, okay, cool, whatever. You was willing to fly yourself out to Florida because you knew by shaking hands, talking to people, doing some extra work, that was nothing but foot indoors everywhere you go. And man, people can learn from that because that's you taking responsibility on your career. Not let someone take responsibility on yours by themselves. That was you taking full fledged, like, no, I'm doing this. If I make money, great. If I don't, so be it. But at least I want to get my name out there. And that's important. That's important for anybody in show business. You have to do that sometimes because that's the only way you get your foot in the door.
And that's exactly true. The biggest gamble I took on myself last year when this pandemic hit and all the stimulus money kept getting in, all the unemployment money kept coming in, I said, I'm going to make the investment in myself and into staged media. At the time, staged media was not a thing. It was Clayton Stage Productions. And I said, this name does not represent what I do, what my brand is, what exactly my production company does. So I'm looking at some things. I said, I can't call myself Wrestle Media because there was another company at the time that did that. So I look at my name and I see Clayton Stage Productions and I see stage. Well, I'm producing theater productions for people. So I'll be staged media because I am a media company. I don't just do video work. I do editing work. Recently, I had to do audio work for somebody who was transitioning as a heel, and they said, well, what I'd like to do is take my babyface music and then mash it into the heel music, and I kind of need a transition to do that. So she was using Wannabe by the Spice Girls for her face music, but her heel music, it was between two choices because she asked me what I thought of something with her gimmick, and she's on AEW Dark right now. I said, well, I have an idea for you. And I gave her Confident by Demi Lovato because that promotion was letting her use copyrighted music. And she goes, well, I like it, but it's too peppy. But I can see where you got it from the drive of the music to the lyrics because she's Miss Reality. So I said, this is the lyrics, the music. It spells it out right there and then. She goes, well, let me give you an idea. And she goes with Boss by Kellis. So we take both songs, mash them together. The next day, she texts me, yo, this was a hit. Thank you so much. And sends me money for my time. I don't even expect that because I know the promoter is covering my booking fee to make these entrance videos for people and to make the music happen if I need to cut music down because I get that a lot. Hey, start this song at 40 seconds. Hey, fade this out at 140. So I get that a lot, but a remix, mashing two songs together, that was a lot of work, but that meant the world to me that she was willing to pay me for my time. And that was the easiest payday I made just working from home.
And that leads to another thing. Since I make beats, I do a lot of things for free and whatever. Is like some people would take the free and you'll never hear from them again. And some people were like, hey, Ewokk, you did a good job, bro. Here's $100. They didn't have to give me that $100, but they also recommended me to somebody else. You know what I mean? It is like that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure she talk you up all the time. She's like, yo, hit up my dude Scott if you need this done with your music. Hit him up for the videos. I'll be like, that's how you get more business, man. And that's dope as hell. And you said she's in AEW Dark.
Yeah, she's on AEW Dark regularly. She got to replace Anna Jay in the Women's Eliminator tournament when they did the whole US-Japan tournament.
Oh, that's dope.
Anna Jay got sidelined with a shoulder injury. She was actually an alternate for it, and she got to face Thunder Rosa on live television.
And that says a lot about her. Like she's getting an opportunity at the big shows too, and it shows a lot and says a lot about her professionalism also. You know what I'm saying? Like she did a lot to get there. I don't know who this person is. I don't know if you want to say her name, but salute to you for being a true professional.
And well, But that's the thing I love seeing, is I'm filming these wrestlers that I've worked with, and then months later, I see them on a national level. Yes, I want to be at that point at some time myself. I do want to work for Impact, AEW, or a major company. And I really want to do that. But at the same time, about maybe a week ago, I was dealing with some really bad depression stuff. And the promoter goes, I'm going to say something to you just to cheer you up. What you're doing is changing someone's life. The way you film, the way you edit, you're giving them such a high quality match that they can send to promotions and everything, and then you're seeing them on national TV. You should be proud of just that alone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What I like about the thing that you did for the girl who's now on AEW it's once again we're talking about the people who are on the grind, the people who are constantly hustling to get where they're wanting to be at in life. You know, she hustled her way into AEW, but didn't forget what you did for her. You know, and she paid you on top of that for your hustle. That's what it's about, man. I really think if that spirit of the way that we give back to each other, the way that we help each other out, if we had more of that in this business, the business would be in a far better place.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
I live, sleep, and breathe this business. Production is my way of giving back to those who didn't have faith in me as a referee and said I should just leave this business and quit because somebody who trained me and just gives me a match within a month and I don't even know what I'm doing and nobody's willing to give me feedback and this and that. And then I transition to production and boom, I find my niche in this business.
And normally, like I always say, I think I say this almost every show, is like, yeah, you want to be a wrestler, you want to be this, but it's like maybe that's not this. Maybe that might not be for you. Like maybe a year from now, I might be a good ass referee. Maybe 2 years from now, I might be a good ass commentator. Like you never know. But as long as the end goal is you're in this professional wrestling business, doing good things, doing awesome, like genuine shit, and just putting out good product, and you're helping each other, man, that's a win on its own, man. And so, like, for real, salute to you for all you do for everybody. And you know what I'm saying, you got a good head on your shoulders, my dude, and you're gonna keep on moving to the sky with what you're doing, man. So
Absolutely. And you know, the thing is, the production guys, in my opinion, are the most unsung heroes in wrestling. They really are.
they
Because
coming up. My bad, John. But
no.
they
I was about to say, like, everybody overlooks what they do.
yeah.
You know, because they make the product. Yeah, you might be the wrestler, but they make you look $1 million.
But right now is like we starting to get some identities though, like yourself, Scott. We got wrestling with unicorns. We got Xavier.
Oh, I love wrestling with unicorns. I got to work with Martin in Tampa.
Yeah.
That dude outshined me with an iPhone. And I was not afraid to put that man over on social media because that was just impressive. The dude was all over the place for Tampa. He was everywhere. He was at the Collective. He was at my festival with Generation Championship Wrestling that I worked. He was everywhere that weekend and grinding.
Yeah, he stay up. Like, I guess I think GCW did a 24-hour show of the Fight Forever show.
Yeah.
And I was watching most of it. And like he was just there, like you could just see him in the background with his camera. I was like, damn, this fool's up for 24 hours, is just grinding. And it is like I said, and he's known, and people talk about him. Like, people just don't talk about the brand Wrestling with Unicorns. They actually talk about the man himself. And it's like I feel like right now production guys are they're their own character and entity also, you know what I mean? So like you got your thing, Wrestling Your Unicorns got his thing, Xavier got his thing going on, you know what I'm saying? He's
wrestling shoots, man. Yeah. And those guys that help us at Chicagoland Championship Wrestling.
And guys like yourselves are gonna pave the way for the kid maybe in the next year. It's like, damn, we could do something like that too. And it's just like, now you got a whole scene of just wrestling producers, bro. and that's dope as hell. And it's like we're all one big ass family together, you know. So like I love that shit, man. If it's pro wrestling, I love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, watching that 24 hour show and seeing Martin there with his cameraman, I was like, how much cup of coffee or how many Red Bulls or Monster Energies that guy had to drink to stay up to record all of that? Like, I couldn't do that. I love wrestling, but dude, I'd be like, I'm going back to the hotel to go take a nap. I mean, I'm just, yeah. I have a lot of respect for guys who can do that shit, man.
Hey, and that all just comes from love, love for what you love. You know what I'm saying? If you love for wrestling, you know what I'm saying? I got love for wrestling. I ain't staying up 24 hours, but like it makes you do things out of body. It makes you do things that you don't expect out of yourself. You know what I mean? Like I didn't expect to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. You know what I mean? Like I didn't expect that. But like
Dude,
I needed to do that because you know wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't expect that you busy as hell with wrestling because this promotion took off. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. Like you grind for this, man. Like if you really want it in wrestling, if you really want it in life, like certain goals, you gotta do whatever it takes, man. Sleepless nights, man. That's what it takes sometimes.
if you, Scott, if you had to give advice to a young camera person, what for a young person, let's just say someone's like, let's say fresh out of college, or they're in college, or they're working on their majors, but they want to do filming for professional wrestling. What what advice would you give them, and also what technology, what apps would you throw at them and say, hey, it's free, but use it. This will help you out.
Okay. So the first advice I would give is when you start out, ask the person who's the most knowledgeable in the room, your field that you're trying to do, ask them for feedback. Ask them to sit back and watch all of the raw footage. That could take hours. And ask them just to watch your angle alone and tell you, hey, what could I do better? Like, just tell them all of that. I had okay, so that actually brings me to a story. So at the time with New Texas, I was not able to be at the shows from December to March. April is when I started, and they found somebody who just started in November at Mission Pro Wrestling, which was run by Thunder Rosa. And they said, "Hey, we're going to use her, but you might have to work with her and watch her stuff and tell her what she's not doing right or what she could do better, and etc." So around January, I finally see her work, and I said, well, let me ask this before I start giving feedback. Do you want me to give her feedback as if it's a television standpoint, or do you want me to give feedback as if it's a local independent standpoint? And they said, no, it has to be TV because we're on independentwrestling.tv, so you would have to give the feedback for TV. And I told her exactly what was wrong. Like, hey, you're moving way too much. If you just stay in that corner and work that side of the ring, you'll be fine. The only time you really need to move is to catch like a diving spot or somebody jumping off the top rope, etc., etc. So I'm giving her all this advice, and she is booming right now, and probably one of my favorite second shooters that I use regularly at New Texas Pro Wrestling.
How many people do you have working in your crew on a show when you have your say of a crew you could pick from?
So, all right, so I'll start with last night. There was a kid that started training years ago in Oklahoma. I don't like giving the names just because it's just I'd rather not say anything. The dude roamed for me when I was just starting out in production for this company, and so I said, hey, what do you want to do in wrestling? And he said he wanted to travel more, so I said, hey, well, if you run hard cam for me, I can get you some exposure. And he did it because I know what he can do. I know where he can roam. A lot of the times it's I have to use help, but if I have my say and I have my full rate, Oh, I can tell you, I'm going to bring in the best of the best filmers because there's guys I will use all the time. Luke Hawkins, Chris Adams, Rogelio Martinez. Those three I'll use in a heartbeat. Allison Stewart, the girl I just talked about that I'm teaching more in depth on camera work. She's grinding so hard to do this to where next month I'm actually running a back-to-back at the Houston Premier Arena where we run at New Texas Wrestling for our big shows that end up getting premieres on IWTV. So luckily, one of their sponsors is going to run a show the night before and said, hey, we want to pay your full booking fee. We want to make sure you can come down the day before. And I said, absolutely. So that'll work. I'll just do your show, get a hotel, and then I'll do New Texas the next night, get another hotel, drive home that Sunday. And so that was that because I can choose who I want to bring down. Yesterday, you know what shocked me the most? My friend Luke is constantly on the grind as well, and he's filming MMA. He's filming pro wrestling, making money. He actually does video production for a living for like government streaming. And the dude asked me, he goes, hey, can I just tag along on the trip? I said, well, you're actually halfway from the venue, so I can pick you up right on the way because we wouldn't have to detour or deviate from the way we were going. I picked him up and I asked him straight up, I said, how much do you want? He goes, no, I want to be your production assistant. Don't worry about any pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what it takes, man. That's what it is people who understand what you're doing, but also what the opportunities they're getting right along with you. It's all about that grind.
And the fools is like they don't have like the shit that I'm talking about is like they don't have to pay, but they was like, yo, here's $100. You're I feel you, my dude. Like you hustling like I'm hustling. Let's get this together. Like and people that are willing, that are hungry they don't even have to take the ride, but they there. You know what I mean? Is it like that? That's just dope to me, man. I like all that. Like you're surrounded by a lot of good people, and just like, hey, I like all that goodness is gonna rub off, man. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope, man. Like more good people are gonna be surrounding you, man. It's like a magnet.
The thing too about this guy is like some of the more of the movie-esque promos you see on Chicagoland. Ewokk was actually the guy who actually filmed those promos.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
let me tell you, when I first saw one of them, I was blown away.
Oh, shit.
That was really good. The music, it was so perfect. The editing, I loved it. It kept me intrigued by the minute. And I'll tell you guys this, and John and I were talking about this last night, and it's my theory of when you're producing a live local show for independent wrestling and when you're filming a show for national TV. When I produce a show for live local wrestling, it's a 4-week process. I don't start the week of. I start a month before. The first thing I'm doing is texting all the people on the roster, hey, what's your music? I got to make you an entrance video because a lot of the times I'm asked to make entrance videos. So I start that the first week. The second week I talk to the promoter and I say, hey, what do you want to do for this broadcast that was different from the last show? We'll sit back and we'll watch the last show and we'll talk about what worked, what didn't work, what could be better. Then the third week, we watch it back again and we formulate what is going to happen on this broadcast. I will tell you, when I first started New Texas Pro Wrestling signature shows in Houston in January, it was match after match after match after match after match. And you're not giving any of these people time to breathe or reset from what they've watched. They could probably watch a really good wrestling match and then they have another really good wrestling match right after that to top it. And I said, no. They need a reset before they go into that next match because I can tell you if it's wrestling after wrestling after wrestling with no promos, no interviews, no vignettes, no pre-tapes, they're going to get burnt out on the product.
It's going to turn that shit off. Or watch
it because it's match after match and there's nothing in between that'll set the reset. And that's the biggest thing we tried last night, and it worked exactly because it gave that reset that it needed. We filmed 3 pre-tapes, and we have 2 commercials that'll actually be on the broadcast and post. So we're doing all of that. that's week 3 when we're formulating the pre-tapes and everything that's going to happen on the broadcast when we actually air it to IWTV. And then the next week is the paperwork. Let's make a run sheet. Let's see how this is going to run, put all the business that the wrestlers need to know, send them the pre-tape bullet points, all of that. Make sure they know what to expect when they come into the show. Now, when we get to the post-production process, this is my theory on directing and editing as a producer. I always strive to be the best producer possible. Every show has to be better than the last. Every edit has to be better than the last. I want people talking. It's not about me. It's about the audience. Stage Media's mission statement is to provide production as if the fans at home are with us live, which is why I could do my perspective of things and show a lot of hard cam and a lot of like shots that are out of the blue. I could do all of that from my perspective, but really, is it benefiting the fans? That's the biggest thing I see when it came to directing. When I started taking editing loads to edit shows, guys would talk to me that hired me and would tell me, hey, I want to help you find your voice with directing, because a lot of the times I was trying to emulate what they were doing on TV, cut after cut, second after second. They said, no, this is not what you do for a local show. You want the fans to be there. And that's why I stand true to that mission statement, because I want the fans there with us. So if they're at home watching, they should feel like they're with us live, emoting with us live, reacting to us live. The premieres, I can't tell you how many reactions I see on Twitter of these people clipping posts saying, oh, the production is so awesome. That just warms my heart, seeing that. And the biggest compliment that I got from a fan was they said, it's a lot better to watch the show at home than it is live, because I see what goes through your mind as a fan filming this stuff. It's not about me being a producer. The way I see it, it should all be about what would the fans want to see, which is why I'm all up in your face, gritty shots, angles, you name it. I want them to think that they're actually at that fight, which is why with New Texas, I said, well, I could produce this the way I produce WFC, or I could produce this the way I do American Wrestling Revolution. I could produce it the way I do this show. But if you're wanting it to feel like the fans are in an immersive experience, this has to be a sports style broadcast. We have to take it to sports, which is why I do all these lower thirds that are like, hey, this is this person, this is this person. Then right before the bell rings, I put another graphic. Here's what they're wearing if you're just tuning in to the broadcast. This person's wearing black and gold. This person's wearing black and pink. And then I'll put up another graphic at the top, the whole match, and you just see their names so you know who the commentators are talking about.
Damn, that detail.
Yeah, man. I'll have to show you some of Scott's work, man. Like the things he does. It's, dude, yeah, that shit's on par with UFC type stuff. It's good stuff.
Because you know I love that sports based presentation. You know I love that shit.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you a show. Friend me on Facebook. I'll be happy to send you a show so you can see what I'm producing right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm proud of every promotion that I am a part of. I'm glad that I'm on a network showing who I am, what I do. But when I'm on a network, I want to be the best product on that network. I want to bring that AEW, MLW, ROH product style thing. I want to bring it all, but I want to tell my story. And I want to tell the wrestler story. And I want to tell the promoter story. It should all be about the story. And that's what I was taught in theater. It's all about the story. When I get to venues and I'm directing pre-tapes for promotions, because the promoter will go, hey, I don't have time to do this, so I trust you to produce these. And he gives me the bullet points. Okay, here's what I want for this pre-tape. Here's what I want for this pre-tape. Well, the two pre-tapes were leading towards a heel turn at the end of the night. So I had to figure out, well, how do I tease it subtly first and give it a little more in the second to make the fans think, oh, it's just nothing. Because there was two pre-tapes I filmed recently for a show. I'm not going to spoil anything, but when the heel turn happened, the crowd was livid. It was the best emotion I've seen out of them. It's like I ripped from their hearts. My job as a director is to make sure that the wrestlers know how to tell the story. Yes, they could know the bullet points and they could present it well, but I could help them present it from a TV standpoint. Oh, well, do this to make it more realistic. Talk to each other like you've been in this business for a couple years together, like you've been bros and stuff. And it worked. And then once that big turn happened, crowd was livid. It was the mouthiest crowd I've ever seen on a wrestling show.
What I like too, and I think me and you talked about this before as well, Scott, is outside of just wrestling venues, the importance of on-scene location promos from talent is a huge seller to fans at home when they're watching, because it's not like the same, you're sitting there and you're in your car and you're cutting a promo, but you're actually like somewhere going on. I mean, like even I'll talk about Chicagoland, because the way we do our promos, I always all my guys is go out in the city of Chicago, go out somewhere like the railroad tracks, go out to like the more of slum neighborhoods, different places where like you're gonna get like a really good scenery shot.
Should go to Big Hana.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah, like, and that was killer because like he did his promo where he signed a contract. He's eating really good Korean barbecue, and it looked like a big deal because it was. I mean, do you feel the same way as well too as a producer? You think the on-scene location shots are just as important?
Oh, absolutely. I see companies that actually have a set for their interviews, like a step and repeat banner in front of it. Like they're actually doing interviews like with their own identity. The biggest thing I want to see with on-scene location stuff, if we have to have a vignette that really should not be filmed in a back room of an arena or somewhere dirty or somewhere that it doesn't make sense to film it in, I would rather it be on the set that fit. Like I'd rather have a background that fits their gimmick.
Yeah.
Because they be immersed in their world. I would rather have that than just film it in a back room at a venue with nothing. That's just dull and it's uninteresting. If you're filming it somewhere where it's like, oh, this is probably where this person lives in its hometown and his gimmick, it would be more interesting. I'm uninterested in doing all this stuff in like back rooms or stuff why would you do this vignette here?
Yeah, I agree. Like if you're a punk rocker, you should do a punk rock dive bar. If you're from the hood, you should, Southside Chicago, for example, or Fort Worth, Texas, whatever. There's like plenty of neighborhoods that you can go into and film a promo, and it's like, oh, this shit looks real. It's good. Yeah, I feel the same way. I think it actually what it does, it boosts the character on the show too. It's not just like, oh, hey, what's up, guys, and their cell phones moving around a million times. It's they got that wall behind them, or they're at the subway station, is you got the trains rolling by and stuff. It's just it presents wrestling in a realistic, gritty feel.
Yeah, it's like, oh my bad, it's like
no, go ahead, brother. No, go ahead.
It's like Mankind with the Boiler Room. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect example.
It's like, all right, cool. That's where he stay at. He stay in the Boiler Room, just chilling, smoking blunts and shit.
One of the things that me and Mickey Grant talked about today. Mickey Grant's a man who created World Class Championship Wrestling. He's the father of modern day wrestling on television, the way that guys like Scott, guys like Xavier Camacho and other guys, how they film shows. Mickey was the first guy to do that, because before Mickey, wrestling was shot on 2 cameras. And Mickey's the one who brought the idea of multi-cameras, different angles. Mickey used to work for Don King for his boxing shows.
Oh,
So
wow.
Mickey brought in the idea of have a cameraman in the ring for in-ring introductions, but you go from one corner to the other, just like the boxing, but it's for wrestling, and it looks great. It looks like it's like a big fight feel to it. And me and Mickey talked about that, and he was like, "Yeah," he said, "know what my biggest inspiration was for World Class?" And I was like, "What's that, Mickey?" He said, "Rocky." He said, "I'm surprised many guys in wrestling don't watch the Rocky movie." He's like, "Rocky's the most perfect shot film for sports." He's like, "Think about this: the training sequence, getting that ready for the first big title fight, right? Yeah, Rocky chasing the chicken. Yeah, Rocky going there in the butcher shop hitting the ribs. Then you shoot over there and you got Apollo Creed. He's doing his push-ups. He's hitting the speed bag and stuff. Like, you're watching both fighters prepare for this big fight. And I would kill for guys in wrestling to do that. You go out there and do a training montage where like you're hitting the weights, you're hitting the speed bags, you're grappling with somebody on the mat. You're giving people that big fight atmosphere. We're kind of lucky in Chicago because we got Wrestle League, the hybrid martial arts. And man, if I was wrestling again, Ewok, dude, I'd be hitting you up and like, all right, let's film us hitting the punching bags. Let's almost running down the streets and going through this shit. Like I wish more cats in our area was doing that shit, man. Because to me, it's like natural. It's natural as a natural athlete shit, and it tells a story.
Yeah, but everybody's just too busy trying to be something else than the actual pro wrestler, So it is what it is,
And I like what you said there, John, about Mickey Grant having the inspiration for Rocky, for that stuff. That actually is pretty cool. I didn't even know that about him. So going back on boxing intros, when I first started, I'd film them on the ground, like just shoot up in the, like towards like into the ropes and film the boxing intros. Now I'm on the apron and I'm filming it shot for shot. Like, hey, we're going to go to this person, the challenger. Then we're going to go to this person. And then we're going to have the shot of the ref holding the belt up. And you're going to do all that. And that's the biggest thing I like, is like make your title matches mean something, which is why I'm on the apron. A lot of times for promos, like when a promoter books a live promo on the show, I'll have my second camera op on the apron, but I'll be in the ring. Then I'll have a hard cam op zoom in real tight to hide us both. So they have 3 cameras to play with, and they're also working the crowd at the same time. A lot of the times I see guys that are on local independent produced shows and they're wandering around working the crowd. Well, the way I position the cameras is if you just turn one direction, you're working one side of the crowd, and then you turn the other way, there's another camera, you're working that side of the crowd, then you have the hard camera. You have all 3 sides of the crowd that you can work. You just talk to the camera. I wish that people, and this is, I'm not knocking anybody down by this. I don't mean to be negative. I'm not knocking anybody down. In training, when you're starting out in training, I feel they should teach it like it is TV, because at some point they're going to go to that medium. And we're in a world now where wrestling companies are using that medium more than likely. So it would help that these guys have that type of training. I didn't have that type of training when I first started. I had to go outside of Oklahoma. Yes, Oklahoma is a great place to start, but if you want to make it big, my suggestion to you is going to a school outside of Oklahoma that has reputable, credible trainers. Sure, there's trainers in Oklahoma that are actually really credible that I actually really like. But my big advice is, if you're wanting to get to that next level, because I hear a lot of times guys, hey, I want to travel. I want to be like you. I want to get all that exposure and networking opportunities. And then they don't take the time of day to do that. If you want to make it to that next level and you want to get all of those out of state bookings, my advice to you is when you start, you train, And then for states like Oklahoma, it is a great place to start. But if you're wanting to go to that next level, my advice is to travel. Always travel. My trainer in backstage production, Dexter Hardaway. Dexter is one of my good friends, and I still talk to Dexter every day. I always send him matches like, hey, what do you think about this? Can you give me feedback? I always ask Dexter for feedback because he is the person I trust, and he was one of the key people in my transition to production. And Dexter gives me all the feedback. Hey, this shot would have been better if you would have done this, or this edit would have been better if you would have used more of this and less of that, or stuff like that. But then around 2020, when I made a $6,000 investment in my production company to make stage media what it is now, I knew I was taking a gamble on myself. But here's the thing, I wasn't traveling as much. June, Dexter told me, get in the car. And he took me to Texas with him. And I was working places like Metroplex Wrestling, VIP Wrestling, and that's where all the bookings started. If it wasn't for Dexter, I wouldn't be where I am now. If it wasn't for Tim Rockwell seeing what he saw in me as a filmographer, I wouldn't be where I am now. If it wasn't for Luke Hawkins, Chris Adams, Rogelio, Danny Reyes, all those good filmographers in our area, I wouldn't be where I am now. If I didn't meet anyone from I Shoot Wrestling, Stage Media, Clayton Stage Production, would not be a thing, which is why I always give back to those people who were my first book and the people that believed in me from day one when I started this transition. I took a major gamble on myself, spending that many thousands of dollars on production equipment. I got LED lights, backdrops, green screens, blue screens, cameras that are way too expensive in my budget, commentary equipment that actually is run by a sound mixer, and I can record every single track and have full ability of every track, because a lot of times there's some commentary equipment that you can only have one track and it's those two people, and if it's too low, well, you're going to have to do a lot of audio editing in post. I mean, it was thousands of dollars. And by the end of that 6 months, because I knew I would not make that back in months, it would take years to make that back. By the middle of 2020, I have made 75% of that investment back. The middle of 2021, I've made maybe 75% of that back. And that wasn't even my goal. I thought I'd make it back in 2023, 2024, and it paid off because I have colleges that book me to film their theater productions, because we're in a medium with virtual productions now. I had to sit out my senior year of college and film my theater's productions because the film department couldn't help them. So they go to me and they say, hey, we need a favor. Can you film the productions? There was one show I actually acted in and then filmed it because originally the film department was going to do it. I had to step in the day we started shooting. I only had an hour to get my stuff and get to the venue and record. And then I asked, well, can I do my scene last? And they said yes. So I did mine the very last day of shooting, so I didn't have to worry about anything. And they were so accommodating when I got to get to my scene. They said, you can bring in whoever you want, and you can just do your scene and not have to worry about all of this. And then the weeks later, I'm seeing checks for thousands of dollars from them, and I wasn't even expecting them to pay because the University of Tulsa pays my full tuition to go there as a theater major, and I'm not even a film major, and they use me for everything. They use me to play piano in the orchestra pits. They use me to film stuff for the department because of the times we're in. I wasn't even expecting any money, and they offered it to me, and I was very surprised to see how much of that investment I made back that I didn't think I would make back in less than a year or two. Wasn't expecting that at all. I'm sitting there watching all this money come in, and I say, I have way too much money in my bank account that I don't even know what to do with. So you know what I did with that money? I gave back to the business that I love, I support, and I fully live upon. Wrestling is my passion and my enjoyment. I'm at the point now, if I were to retire right now in production, say, you know what, want to be done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I would be very content with what I did. But am I content right now? No, I want to be at that next level. I'm at the point now to where I'm using my connections because I want to be at that bigger company. I want to be there. It's like I love my time in the independent wrestling circuit. I love producing for New Texas, WFC, VIP, DFW All Pro, American Wrestling Revolution, Mid States Wrestling, New Class Wrestling Organization. Yes, I work for 8 different promotions doing production. And is it smart that I'm doing that while being a full-time student in college on my very last semester? Probably not. I don't get a lot of sleep because I'm constantly every day working on something in production. And I'm probably up till maybe 2, 3 in the morning, but it's not that I don't love doing it. It's my passion and it's what I love doing, which is why I love working for 8 different promotions. Yes, you may call me nuts, but I love doing it. For example, this is not known, and I'm going to make it known right now. Enough money that I sponsored, like actually became a sponsor for the wrestling company I produce. I sponsor New Texas Pro Wrestling. And I don't mind doing it because I would rather that money go back to my passion and the people that believed in me and the people that took me under their wing to teach me the right way of doing things in production. So I'd rather all that money go to them. Yes, I save money to pay my bills and all of that because right now I'm doing this full time. I don't have a job right now. I'm laid off because of the pandemic. I worked in a movie theater for a couple years and then the pandemic happened. My movie theater hasn't opened. It's probably not going to open until the end of May, early June is what I've heard. So I had to make this a full-time business. So my advice to those people that are starting out and they want to go into production, take the gamble. Make the investment. You never know who's watching. You never know who's going to see your work. Because I can tell you, years from now, they may become a very good asset of a connection for you when it comes to networking. I have friends at Impact, and I hit them up recently, and I said, hey, is there any job opening up? Because I really want to relocate to a bigger company. And they're honest with me, like, no, but as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know, and yada, yada, yada. I really want to be eager to that point. I really want to be at that next level. Yes, if I retired, no, I wouldn't be content because I want to be where my goals are. My short-term goal was to be on a network with a company. And I did just that. And I want that company to be the best product on that network. So it's all about the investment and it's about the gamble. That's the best advice I can give to younger people who may not want to ref or wrestle or ring announce or commentate or manage, and they just want to do production. Take the gamble, make the investment, and in the long run, it's going to work out for you.
Hell yeah, man. Those some words right there, man. You
Fuck yeah.
Shit, you got me want to go outside right now, drive somewhere. Damn, man. Hey, for real, like I can't wait to see your name on some TV shit. Like me looking at the TV, seeing your name, I'm gonna be like, oh man, that means I gotta get a shot of Hennessy from my boy Scotty. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, speaking of whiskey, this is probably the best thing that happened at a wrestling show. Last night, a fan came up to me and goes, yo, your production is fire. It gives me a full bottle of Fireball whiskey.
Hell yeah.
And I said, how much do I owe you? He goes, no, that's my gift to you because your production is fire.
And you making people feel that way on your production, man. Like you taking people in a different world, man. Like and we need more people like you, bro. Like we need more production people like you, bro. And that's awesome as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Can't believe I got that promo that I did, but it's what was on my mind at the time because we've led to this point of all this knowledge that we've dropped on these viewers.
Yes, sir. And if we close this up, John, did you have anything in closing?
Scott, all I have to say is, man, thank you for dropping so much knowledge. Like, production is something that I've said it before. You know, I told you about my story, how I got involved with production while I was trying to get my foot in the door with other things of wrestling. But production was one thing I had to do myself. And for any of the guys out there in wrestling that thinks, oh, that production stuff is easy, trust me, the guys in wrestling have it easier. You can bump, try to cut, edit, film, make sure everything looks good, make sure you don't miss an angle. Got to make sure something big happens. You better be right on it. Production guys, man, are the backbone of professional wrestling. They really are. They make sure that a good production guy will make a independent company look like $1 million. Prime example, and I'll always shout out his name on this because he's one of our guys. Xavier Camacho, man, made us look like Lucha Underground meets Chicago. And Scott does the same thing with every. Yeah,
the plots were amazing. When I saw the product, I said, "Yo, there's no. I want to see what the raw footage looks like," because it was just in post. I was blown away. I said, "This is what wrestling production should be." And my other advice to younger people that are wrestlers that talk to the production guys: be nice to your production people. Don't disrespect them. Don't mock them. Don't. I'll tell you this, and this is the other advice I will give to wrestlers. You want to get your own camera to film. A lot of the times I'm having to tell guys no, they can't have their footage. And it's not me being a complete asshole to them. It's me being honest. I don't own that footage. That footage is no longer property of Stage Media once I get that paycheck from PayPal, Cash App, Cash, Check, you name it. It's not my footage anymore. So it's like the biggest thing is get your own camera to film your matches because you don't know what the legal process is on footage in certain companies. And you'll want to see your match back, but you got to know that there's a release time on this product. And there's times I can't even give that at all. I can't even give a lot of these guys footage. Yes, I want to because I want to see them get better. But at the same time, I really can't because it's not my footage. And the biggest thing is like why I say be nice to your production people and don't mock them. I can't tell you how many times I'm yelling quiet and they're just mocking me. I said, no. You don't, that's just disrespectful. It's wrong. I have people that just do it just to make everybody laugh because I have one of the loudest voices in the room when I need to film a vignette and I need absolute quiet because I don't want to pick up all the extra noise in the back so the fans are able to hear what's happening. And I'll have people mocking me and disrespecting me. I'm like, I could be that person in post and make you look like complete shit. And I don't mean that in a negative way, and I don't mean to do that. I would never do. I personally would never do that, but I'm just making a point that, yes, you have to be nice to your production people because those production people could do that. They could make you look like complete crap and be like, whoa, what the heck was this? This match was awful. It could have been great on a fan standpoint, but if you were nice to your production people, it would have been even better when they watched it on YouTube or any type of social media.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
my biggest thing is respect in this business. It's like I give my respect to give these promoters and these wrestlers the best product possible so they can take their work to all these promotions they want to work for. Hey, here's my resume. Here's who I got to work. Here's a couple matches. And it's some of the best quality edits they'll get that actually make them look good. I can cover up a lot of things in post, but that's my thing. I want the wrestlers to look the best possible when it comes to those products being aired. Which is why I say respect your production people.
Hell yeah. Most definitely.
And thank you guys thank you, John Ewokk, for having me on this podcast because the reason I asked last night, hey, what are we talking about? I wanted to see how I could take your show and I could apply all that knowledge that I could give to wrestlers, to referees, to managers, to everybody that's involved in the business, my insight on production and my theory on how I see production in professional wrestling. Which is why I asked, hey, what can I expect to be asked? Which is why I had a thorough answer, and I pretty much cut a promo that I wasn't expecting to cut.
See, dude, that was straight fucking fire, though.
Yeah. Oh. This podcast will bring it out of you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do, man. It's the Ewokk and JB show, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It was an awesome ass episode tonight. Scott Clayton, thank you, man. Like for real, man. Thank you. Keep up the good work, and like, hey, sky's the limit, man. So this is the Ewokk from the Ewokk and JB show. Say peace out, JB. Say peace out real quick.
Peace.
Hell yeah.
And thank you guys so much for joining us on this podcast. If you want to follow me on social media, follow my production social media handlers: Instagram at Staged Media Productions, Twitter at Staged_media, Facebook Staged Media. Give us a like, give us a review, watch our product. We want you to see all of it. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
Yes, sir. And on that, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do my thing that I do every week. You know what I'm saying? Peace.